welcome to another episode of Your HBCU and You. Today we have a special guest. His name is Mr. Philip Smith. He is a Southern University Jaguar. So, Mr. Smith, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Mr. Bledsoe, and that's right. My name is Philip Smith. Born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Southern Jaguar through and through. Southern Heights, Southern Lab, Southern University, a couple times. So I still obviously live here in Baton Rouge. Worked in the foundation at Southern University for some time, and now I'm at Vice Chancellor at Baton Rouge Community College.
So you got a lot of Southerners in there. You sure shouldn't have had a Southern Baton Rouge Community College on there.
Well, the truth be known, we're an extension of supporting Southern University here. A lot of our students transfer to Southern University, and so as I share with Dr. Belton, current president of Southern University, that even though I may not be there physically, I'm here, working here, and supporting the institution. So we transfer students to Southern, Mike, on a regular basis.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your experience at Southern University in terms of why you went there. I think I already know that, but I'm gonna ask that question anyway. And tell us if you had opportunities to attend any other universities at the time that you chose Southern.
So yeah, I as I said earlier, grew up in Baton Rouge, and so in Southern Heights. Both my parents were Southern University graduates. My father actually worked at Southern in the business department for some time. My grandparents both attended Southern University as well. And so I grew up in an environment where Southern was a big part of my life. In our neighborhood, a lot of the professors, athletic department staff, both two Southern University presidents also had homes in the neighborhood that I grew up in. And so Southern was close to us, and I was a student at Southern Lab. And when it was time for my movement matriculation to Southern, I did have options, but they were not first in mind, because I kind of always wanted to go to Southern. I also played an instrument in high school, and so the human jukebox was always kind of a goal of mine to grow up and be a part of the band. And so I pursued that, and didn't really look at many other schools other than going to Southern. It was a natural thing growing up in this environment, and having a chance to go to all the football games and to be around the campus. It's where you wanted to be, where you aspired to be. And so that's what I did. And I did have a chance to be a part of the jukebox for a short period of time. I'll tell you more about that, but that was my initial goal, and I got some other opportunities, and so I pursued those later on, which was ultimately I ended up on the golf team at Southern with a scholarship there. So anyway, that's how I ended up becoming an official Jaguar.
Okay. And 4 years of attending Southern University, what was your favorite thing about attending Southern in those 4 years?
Well,
I'm just talking about your attendance there, not necessarily your.
I understand, and so I want to tell you that while in most cases 4 years would have been the span, but I had an opportunity to spend a little bit more time at Southern than 4 years, so I'll tell you about that time. But the reality is that it was a melting pot of people from all over the country, all over the world for that matter, of students pursuing their education. And for the first time, even though I grew up in that environment, all of a sudden I'm on campus and I'm meeting people from Chicago and LA and Atlanta, DC, that kind of came to Southern with a different flair, a different flavor. And so I learned a lot from people from all around, made a lot of near and dear friends that I still have today from all over the world. Our engineering department at Southern was top notch, still is to this day. And you just found a lot of people coming and gravitating to Southern just to be a part of that and be a part of the experience. And so there was nothing like stepping on campus during the time that I was in school. We had close to 12,000 students on campus. And so it was very vibrant, very active, not just during football season, but every day was a lot of excitement, a lot of things going on various parts of the campus, and a lot of people moving, and just a lot of fun. Each one of the different cities that had students that kind of populated on campus, like Atlanta, had the Atlanta Association. And so they had their own organization, also had their own parties. And so we got a chance to go to those parties and learn how people did things in different regions of this country, just based upon which parties you attended or who you spent your time with on campus at Southern in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So it was just a lot of fun, almost too much fun in the beginning.
Okay, so since we're in these favorites, let's stay in the favorites. So what was your favorite thing to do on campus?
Mike, I have to say it's, a lot of people familiar with, obviously, student unions on most college campuses, and especially at HBCU, a lot of folks go hang out in the union, which we had that at Southern. But believe it or not, more popular hangout sometimes was a place called TT Lane, which was one of the original founders of Southern University, actually, a building named after him. But it was a business department and the computer science department. And it attracted just a lot of people. So when I tell you just hanging out in TT Lane or in front of TT Lane was a certain entertainment factor, that was one of the favorite things to do. Or just walking on campus, because you could walk from one end of the campus to the other and see so many people. And it was just, just a good time just being on campus. I can't say that any of the parties or football games were fun. I'd kind of grown up in that environment, though, and so attending the games, it was not a first-time experience, but I still had a great time doing those things. Basketball games, same thing. But on a day-to-day basis, just on an average day, you could go take a seat in front of TT Lane and have a great time. There was food, people moving around, and some classes in between.
So I'm guessing, this is just a wild guess here. It was more happening outside of TTL Lane than it was inside in terms of the enjoyment, people being outside.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was, it was pretty much all business inside. Of course, people moving back and forth to classes. If you had to, grab a bite, there was kind of a food station inside of the building. But outside in front of the building was just absolutely unbelievable. There was a buzz every day with people out front, and you could meet people. You could sit out on the steps there and take in different sights, different people, and see all your friends and laugh and talk and have a good time.
So
I've heard about the bricks. The bricks they call it the bricks at Jackson State, kind of a quad where everybody would sit out, and Howard has a square. TT Lane was kind of that area, in addition to our student union.
Okay. Yeah, at Alcorn, it was the cafeteria, right outside the cafeteria. It's a central area, central location where everybody just traveled. You had to pass by the cafeteria to get to the places you were going. So what was your favorite class?
Favorite class? So we are talking about college. So I'd have to say marketing problems. I actually originally majored in computer science, And this was prior to personal computers. So we were actually doing programming on punch cards back in those days. And so there was a transition from that to to PCs in my freshman year. And when that happened, I shifted gears and decided I was going to major in business, and got into the business courses. And over time, ran into what seemed like a Mack truck in terms of the professor that I had in that class, which was marketing problems, and challenged me to the degree that it ended up being my favorite instructor while I was there, and favorite class.
Okay, very good. Since we talked a few minutes about favorites, let's talk just probably a second or two on the non-favorites. So tell me your most challenging class. I wouldn't say
Most challenging class. I'm gonna go back to the same class, Mike. Now, there were classes that I thought would be challenging for me. Calculus was one that it wasn't as challenging. But I can tell you is that my favorite class, the way it became my favorite class, was me being challenged because I was not doing what I could do in the class, and the professor realized that, and she challenged it. She made it so difficult that it lit kind of a competitive spirit in me to compete in that class and to do better. So initially it was very challenging to a point where there was one class period where she asked me, no one else in the classroom, questions for an entire hour. And I didn't know one answer to one question that she asked me. For an entire hour in front of, let's say, 30, 35 other students. And after the class, I had the nerve to go to her and ask her why she was picking on me, right? so that's kind of where the challenge started. And she let me know under no uncertain terms and not so kind words that I wasn't quite cutting into her class, and I need to think about what I was doing and make a decision on where I wanted to be. And so soon after that, it became one of my favorite classes.
okay. So what was your least favorite thing about attending Southern?
Probably two. I'm gonna say two things. You might hear this across the board. I don't know, but one, registration. Registration. I can tell you that before I became a student athlete, registration was the most challenging thing that any 18-year-old could face. Southern's pretty broad campus, pretty large campus. And I can't tell you that I wasn't told to walk across that campus at least 10 times on my first day of registration, chasing some basic information. When you're told to go to the mini dome, which is a facility that may hold 8,000 people, and to take a number and to get in line, and you look up in the arena and people are seated in the arena as far as you can see to the top, and you're at the end of the line. You could sit in that line for 2 or 3 days, literally. Like come back the next day, you get your spot. So that was challenging, and I'm certain that it's gotten better. I hope it has. The other challenge on campus was parking.
So you were a driver.
Yeah, well, I had, so I told you about this transition. I went from just kind of being in the band, being in school, to golf scholarship. So I ended up with a dorm room on campus. I still, I grew up not far from Southern, so I was able to stay at home. And so I would drive on campus my sophomore year, and that was a challenge because prior to actually attending Southern, you go find a parking space anywhere on campus and you park there and you go do what you got to do. But if you're in class all day long and you parked your car in the wrong spot, you would come back and find either a boot or find your car gone, one of the two. And so you had to park at the very front of the campus and then walk to the, let's say your class was in the back of the campus. You may have a 3 or 4 mile walk to your class. And so parking was horrendous, and uh, the campus police and the towing truck, they were infamous on campus.
Okay.
It took care of a lot of people. And so at the end of the semester, you couldn't get grades or anything else if you had a traffic ticket. And so basically they were ticketing all day long and towing cars all day long. So those two things were challenges, parking and registration at Southern. But otherwise, I can't really, those are standard things I think you'll find in a lot of different places depending on where you go. But I didn't find anything else really bad about being at Southern.
All right. So let's talk about those two extracurriculars that you were a part of. Tell me a little bit about those.
So, I grew up around music and in music, and so naturally played in the band in high school, and had an opportunity to watch and be around Dr. Patty Greggs. That was Southern's band director, legendary band director, and always wanted to be in the band. And so I had a chance to talk to Dr. Greggs, and he offered me a little partial scholarship. And so my freshman semester, I'm going to Southern. I'm going to be in the band. And so I'd grown up. My father was who worked at Southern for a while, but he played golf, and he was a golfer. So I grew up around golf all my life, and knew enough about the game to be fairly decent at the time, but never intended on participating in that. And so jumped in the band, and I had a chance to actually play with Southern's band when I was in high school. Dr. Greggs handpicked three people to come march with the band in the Sugar Bowl my senior year of high school. And so I got a chance to march with the Human Jukebox when I was a senior in high school, when Georgia played Pitt in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, and Southern Band performed at halftime. And so enjoyed that. So I actually met a lot of people. So my first semester, I go up there and I jump in the band. That experience didn't give me any idea of what it would be like being a student at Southern and in the band. And so the time commitment, I found myself on the field at night, oftentimes at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And I can remember asking an upperclassman, like, how often is it like this? He was like, pretty much every day. And I was like, man, I don't know about this. And so I made a decision somewhere in between. And what happened is I actually also knew the golf coach at Southern, and inquired about walking on a golf team. And it worked out where he was able to offer me a golf scholarship. And so I took a full scholarship, which I only had a partial for band. So I took that option. I was actually also in the choir, believe it or not, and had a little scholarship for that. And so between my golf scholarship, which was a full scholarship, what they called a voucher back then for choir, that you get, a few $100s. And I did that. And so band became a thing on my past at that point. Hadn't touched an instrument since then. And I'd grown up literally all my life just to be in the Human Jukebox. And had done everything I needed to do to be there. Loved it, but when I got on the inside, it just wasn't what I thought it would be. And so the full scholarship looked good. And so I took that and ended up developing a better game and competing at a certain level on the golf team. We won 3 back-to-back SWAC championships in golf. Got a chance to meet a lot of great guys, and that were really competitive golfers at the time. And when I got on the team, I was probably there are 5 guys on the golf team, and you are ranked in your position 1 through 5. And I came on as his number 5 player, and fortunately had a good group ahead of me, and we were fairly successful.
Okay. What year was that Sugar Bowl?
That had to be 1982.
1982. Okay.
That had to be 82.
So,
Herschel Walker, Dan Marino.
oh, okay. That should have been a good one. Should have been a good one. In your years of attending Southern, is there one major event that happened while you were attending Southern that you still talk about today?
Major event. I want to say, I don't know any one major event, Mike. There are so many things that happen. You know, like I said, 3 the SWAC championships in golf, they were good. But Bayou Classics, you know, we had taken a beating by Grambling for several years leading into, I guess, my going to Southern. And I want to say the year was 84. It may have been 85. I don't recall. But that year we won the Bayou Classic, like with seconds left on the clock. A friend of mine from high school kicked the winning field goal. And so that was exciting. But, you know, and a lot of fun. But, you know, Mike, at Southern, being 18 years old, 19, 20, 21, everything is exciting. I mean, you remember every event, every party, a lot of little things that just happen along the way. And so those were, you know, the major events. Yeah, Bayou Classic, winning that, going down the wire was big. SWAC championships in golf, those were big things and personal things. But there was a lot that happened. There was a lot that happened, man, that I wouldn't change for anything. You look back at the experience and the people you met. I mean, things from like, you know, Spring Fest that we would have every year. That was one of the biggest days you look forward to every single year. And you can remember things you did and people you saw and things you got involved in. And those were exciting things. And so I think it was just a combination of a good experience overall when you look back on it. Second to none. I don't know if you could find a better experience. There were times that me and my buddies would take trips down to Florida, for instance, for spring break. Even though that wasn't on campus, that was part of the experience, you know, and just a lot of fun times.
So before we get out of here, Philip, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to do a infomercial, if you will, on why a potential student who's considering attending Southern University should attend Southern University.
Well, Mike, you know, I thought you might ask me something like that. And so I, in preparation for that, and you truly did not tell me you were going to ask me this question. But first of all, I just want everybody to listen to something and appreciate, you know, some of what you might experience at Southern while I'm telling you about this. So in my infomercial, hold on, let me get it going for you. In the background of my infomercial is the fight song. And so, you know, being a Jaguar is unlike any other. Southern University sends students all around the world with over 60,000 graduates that are presidents and CEOs, generals all over the country. You can achieve anything just by attending Southern University and also have a great time doing it. The human jukebox, the fighting Jaguars in the football field with national championships. And as we talked about, the beautiful environment, there's not a black college in America with the landmass of Southern University on the beautiful bluff of the mighty Mississippi River. Fight, go Jaguars.
Thank you, Phil Smith. I appreciate your time.
How about that?